Today we're going to talk about the way they put the sidewalks down in Florida, what the difference is between Florida and the northern states, and then I'll explain it at the end. So they're getting ready to put sidewalks here in Florida. And the first thing they did was they dug up around the curb, and they're getting ready to do that. And then over here, as you can see, they dug out all the roots that go all the way up there from the grass. It's starting to grow again, but they're getting going on it. So we're going to look at how they put sidewalks in Florida. And here they are forming. Here, and you can see all the way they're going. And they're just filling it up, but it's like a sand. You see it? That's a hard, compacted sand that they use here. They're getting ready for the brooming. They're going over it again before the brooming. Now when they put these sidewalks in, all they do is they get the saw and they cut it probably every 4.5, every 5 feet. That's what they do. They don't do it the old school way. They use saws. Now in Florida, you see them mostly putting sod down. You don't see them planting grass like you do in Pennsylvania. Now this is another type of sidewalk they put in with the guardrails in the side. And we're going to take a look at that. Now they're building this wall and they're pouring concrete. And they put these footers down first. There's the road up there. And they want to make it level with the road. So they pour this concrete on the bottom and they put their rebar in. Let's go look at it up here. And then they pour it, they put their forms up, and they're wooden forms. And you can see how they did it right here. And then they take the forms away. And these, of course, are your weep holes, because when it rains here, it rains. You can see how they put that in. And they're doing the whole thing down there like that. You can see these are the pins right here that go right through that hold this together. So this is the sides they put in that we are looking at. And it's the guardrails, and I don't know why they did that. You can't get a golf court through here. And they cut it the same way as they did the other sidewalks. And they put a little piece of expansion here. But it looks like a lot of money for nothing that they did. But and you can see the weep hole here. See that weep hole down there? You can see the sand coming out of it. And that's it. Another sidewalk. So I'm going to talk about the difference now between the way they pour concrete in Florida and the way we did it back in Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey. Well, first they take the grass off. You get rid of all the grass before you're going to do anything. And down here they put sand. But there is sand all the way from Miami to Fort Myers and probably up to the Carolinas. Down here we're off the Everglades, and everywhere you dig it's sand. So you could put sand down and you're never going to have a problem. You just tamp it, because all sand is actually small little rocks. That's all it is. But if you do it up north, it holds the moisture and it'll pick the sidewalk up in the winter, so you can't use sand. What we use is gravel, or we use what they call 2B or modified. It's different than gravel because it's crushed stone and it's real fine and it keeps the water from going out. And up north, if you put the gravel down, you got big trees next to it, the roots will run through it and pick it up. So you'd want to use modified. And up against the building, where you don't want the water to go to the building, you want it to slope away. So there's a difference there. And if you ever watch my videos, brooming was not a popular thing back in the 60s. They wanted it to look like stone. You had to float finish it, but now everybody brooms it. And if you notice, they use sod down here. I haven't seen them plant grass yet along the highways or anything. They just drive up with the truck, throw all sod down. They don't water it, anything, and it grows. It's just the environment down here. And then on the other part, they filled that solid with sand too, and the water seeps right through that. And they don't use gravel down here. I haven't seen them use it once, unless they mix it with the sand to make a road base. Now that one job there, they built a wall, and then they built a sidewalk, and then they put the handrails, and then they put the guardrails. But then if you break down, they didn't have no space for a car to go, and you couldn't put golf carts through it or anything. I don't know why they did that. I guess I wasn't there to design it, but I don't know why they did that. Now what's the difference between doing concrete in Pennsylvania and doing concrete in Florida? If you notice, you've seen the guy throwing water on top of it and then them throwing it in. Can't do that in Pennsylvania, because what happens, it weakens the surface of the concrete, and then when it rains or it snows and it freezes, it pops the top off, and that's called spalding. You would never do that. But what makes it spald is the frost and the freezing weather. They don't get that in Florida, so they could throw water on it and get away with it. And here's a little picture of spalding in Pennsylvania. It's just the surface of the concrete freezing and falling apart. And then another thing, we got to think like a railroad track. Like I said, you got to put the gravel down, maybe 4 or 5 inches, and then you put your concrete on top of that. But down here they don't have to do that, because there's no freezing weather to worry about. So like I always said, what works in Pennsylvania doesn't work in Florida. What works in Florida doesn't work in Alaska. What works in Alaska doesn't work in Southern California. It's all different, and your weather depends on how deep your footers go and how you put your base in and everything like that. So thanks for watching. I'm Mike Haduck. I'll see you next video.